But I wanted to talk about two things. PETA.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing I wasn't satisfied with. I hated how he didn't know his relationship with Katniss. He was like whacked out. He didn't know stuff through pretty much the whole book. I hated that because I wanted to see them two together and their relationship, and it was kind of a cop-out for me. She didn't really end up choosing PETA, really, because Gale went off still fighting his fight, and so she ended up realizing that it was PETA she should be with, but she didn't really have to make that hard choice, and they didn't really even go, you didn't really get that whole relationship because he didn't know what was going on. He kept wanting to kill her.
the whole time wanting to kill her.
And then, of course, when they first meet, and she's thinking, oh, he's going to kiss me, we're going to embrace.
Yeah. And then he tries to kill her.
That was good. I like that. I just wish that another chapter later, he started coming around.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I kept wondering, is she going to, like I don't know, maybe it's unrealistic.
Or when she kissed him.
But this is fantasy, right?
Right. Give us some fantasy, love story.
I was kind of thinking that, deep down, he would remember who she was and the bond that they had formed, that the Capitol wouldn't have
been able to do that to him.
Mm-hmm. But even still, he had that.
Mm-hmm.
He would have to talk himself out of it, even in the end.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And to me, that's saying that the Capitol won.
Yeah,
because they were able to
destroy
that bond.
Yeah.
Between the two of them.
Although they did have a boy and a girl, they did have 2 kids.
Yeah, so I guess eventually got over it. But.
And because she did go that way, I did like how when he said, "You love me," real or not real.
Yeah.
I like that, but
I did like that.
I could have done without that and had the relationship.
Yeah, I did like the way they did that, but I think she should have done that sooner.
And then gave them some time in the story.
Their bond should have
won
out over the Capitol, and I don't feel that it did that.
Right, and him standing right beside her when she took out coin. Yeah. Like they were united because they were together in Hunger Games. They made it through. Yeah. They should have been standing there together.
Yeah,
as
they were
one,
together and catching
just
fire.
Like the beginning.
Well, no, they weren't together and catching fire, were they? Well, up until
they
got
separated.
Weren't.
Yeah,
yeah. But I mean, they were both trying to save each other.
Right.
Through the whole thing.
So that's what was disappointing.
This one, I expected more of that, more of them working together.
Yeah.
Of her somehow
finally getting to see that.
You knew that the Capitol had him, but I thought, when I'm reading it and when it was slow, I thought, okay, any minute they're going to get this little task force together and they're going to go in there and get PETA, wherever he is. They're going to find out where he is and they're going to go get him. And they're going to, save him. And 2, I expected Senna to come back.
I did not think Senna died. Somebody, I don't know if it was Jesse or somebody one of our friends was saying that he died in book 2. Excuse me. Spencer and I would defend it to the death that he did not die. He got drug off, but he did not die.
Yeah.
But evidently he did die.
I thought that the Capitol would just, put him in jail and contain him or something, and then they would break him out. But
like, what the heck?
I guess not.
Who's going to fix?
Which, I understand that she had to be. Maybe she wanted to keep it realistic, because there are casualties of war, and you don't get to say, well, this one.
But Senna,
you're awesome, so you get to live and you get to die. Well, you're scumbags, you get to die. It doesn't work that way, anytime you have a war.
Yeah, I made it more realistic, but it was disappointing.
Especially losing her sister. The entire time that she's, going through all these other 2 books in this whole series, that was her main goal. If her sister's name hadn't got called, she wouldn't even have been in there. She would have had nothing to do with it. Her life and Gale's would have just went on, But she stepped up to save her sister, and then
she took her out.
The
author did.
Yeah, all that.
Well, let's talk about some of the violence. Like when they go try to get to the Capitol, all these pods that keep going off.
Yeah.
I thought we could have did without so many pods. 2 pods, 3 pods, not 27. And I think the first one was when it blew, what's his name, Boggs? It exploded and blew his legs off.
Oh, I know.
And then, because I know I asked you, then all of a sudden, I didn't even understand, okay, his legs blew off, and then they're running for shelter, and it says Katniss is dragging somebody. And I didn't know all the names at that time. I couldn't, it's like, okay, is she actually dragging the guy with no legs behind her? Well, yes, she was.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm like, how are they going to pull that off? I guess they'll want to keep it PG or PG-13, the movie, because of its YA, but they won't show probably the blood and gore, so they could do that. Lord of the Rings was PG-13.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, when
just
I was
like,
reading that whole part, it kept reminding me of Private Ryan.
I know, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
If you've seen that in the very beginning,
I really liked the movie, but it was
on the beach, he's dragging a guy with no legs.
Yeah, and it's a heart-wrenching movie, and I guess that's kind of how this makes you feel.
Yes.
So, yeah, it kept reminding me of that, especially everything kept
And then
blowing
the
up, and
next
all these
thing-
people kept getting hurt or
Then
killed.
the next thing, the guy gets taken up in that net, and it said it was barbed wire.
Yeah.
So it's got to cut him all up. I kept thinking of Saw, like all these, in the movie
Yeah.
Saw, all the traps and everything, and then the black stuff that come wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
somebody got melted. Something
One of the
shot
guys
at them and melted their
hit his
skin
knee.
off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, it
Which-
was just.
To me, that was
Ugh.
which these things happen and you know it, but
And war.
yeah, and probably a lot more than what we know happens, but
And then when they get to that
Finnick.
woman's house. Well, back up. First they get to that woman's house,
yeah, and
and she comes up and she just puts an arrow through her neck. And then
without even thinking.
I guess that kind of shows some of the hardness that Katniss was coming
Yeah.
to. But then then they're running in the tunnels, and then Finnick, who's ends up being kind of a main character, which I kept messing with Alex, another book reviewer. I kept messing with him. He loves Finnick, and he kept saying Finnick was going to be the president in the end and all this stuff. And
We
I
kept
said,
saying
no.
Katniss was going to get with Finnick.
Yeah, and Spence and I kept saying, no, we're sorry, Finnick is going to die. He's going to die. And all along, though, when I kept messing with Alex, I didn't really think he was going to die. But
No,
I called it. I was right.
I liked Finnick.
And so he gets taken out by this, some monster thing?
Yeah, some.
And the way
kind of
that was
animal or
written,
whatever.
I didn't totally understand what all that looked like and was going on. I couldn't picture all that.
Yeah, I know.
It was too
I had trouble
out there.
picturing it. It's more to me sci-fi.
Yeah, like and then the bridge.
You know, like Alien, the movie Alien, and that. So,
yeah. I
it's kinda-
couldn't picture that
But
too much.
my daughter and I get in bed in the evening and read. She props pillows up on the other side and reads. And I was reading that, and when I was at that part, and I went like that, and I didn't even realize that I did it. And she was looking at me. She's like, "What?" And I look over at her, and she's like, "You just went," and I said, "I can't believe she did that." So I didn't even realize that I did it, but I gasped. And I'm like,
Well, and the crazy thing
no,
is,
he's not dead. He's not dead. He's gonna come
that's
out of
what
there.
I thought.
And then they go on.
They said he had 2 or 3 of them on him. That's the last time she saw him. And I thought, okay, he's going to do something great, but
Yeah.
nope. And
So
the funny thing is, you were saying you read before you go to bed. This book, it gave me freaky dreams. I would dream weird stuff. I couldn't go to sleep very fast because it was pretty scary.
Especially when you're reading, towards the end of it, it just stays on your mind.
Yeah,
And you're just
that was kind of how book 1 and 2 was. It really lingers.
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't know. It didn't depress me. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
not in that way, but it still lingers and makes you think.
Yeah,
Like the
you would
Capitol
still think
and
about it. Yeah, and you
all
would
that
think,
stuff.
why,
that this could
you
really
had questions,
happen.
but this was just like, oh my gosh,
But what other kind of things came out, and was that it? I can't remember. Oh, and then what was when they ended up finding that cat woman and she gave them shelter, or tiger, and Tigress or something her name was. But then they put on the civilian clothes, all that, and remember it talks about that girl in the yellow coat, and she ends up dying. And I thought that was really sad.